By conducting exposure therapy, if you're brave enough, we tend to find that it really kicks anxiety to the curb and prevents it from returning because you've faced up to the worst. I want you to choose a fear, either an imagined one or a physical one. If it's a real physical one and you have the ability to face it, say a train journey, I'm going to ask you to face it. Maybe make it a little bit easier to begin with and start with a slightly shorter train journey, but then every day I want you to increase your time. Or maybe it's a hospital drama. Maybe you start with an episode and then another and then another. What are the things that you need to be aware of when you're doing your exposure therapy? Well, firstly, I want you to record everything on the exposure therapy sheet. Rate your anxiety levels on a scale of 0 to 10 to start with, and then again at the end. Do this for every exposure. And finally, write down what you learned. What did you find out about the thing that you were avoiding? And what did you learn about your anxiety? I also want you to make sure that your exposure is prolonged. There needs to be enough time for the anxiety to drop down. A rough guide is that your anxiety drops by at least 20% before you stop. So make sure you're making a note of your anxiety ratings. And no distractions. I don't want you watching the hospital drama from behind a pillow or going on the train journey with your whole family. You need to do this without your safety blankets. And finally, repeat it. Repeat it until it becomes boring. If you were on that plane every day or watching that hospital series every day, you'd become bored. You'd become desensitized to it. If you fall into the category of cognitive avoidance, I want you to write your story. I want you to fast forward past the worst bit and see what life looks like. What problems do you foresee and how would they be solved? How are you coping? Or how are others coping? Make sure you write all the details and then read it over and over again and rate your anxiety levels. I want you to become bored of your own story by the end of the week.